Hello, welcome to the Project Managers of America video series, Episode 1, Project Definition. This episode is brought to you by Allison Taylor, Vivi Hahn, Tyler Townsend, Jasmine Justice, Alexis Brentley, Brandy Bozar, and Hannah Carpenter. The purpose of this video series is to walk you through the planning, executing, and closing parts of a project. In this episode, we will go over the first steps in planning for a project. The steps include project selection, project scope, priorities, work breakdown structure, a responsibility matrix, and a communication plan. Project selection involves selecting which project to choose. Once projects are proposed, they will need to be evaluated. One of the first parts of the project evaluation is defining the must and want objectives for a project. The want objectives are things that would be nice to have but are not necessarily required. For example, the project objective of high quality or low cost. A must objective are things that a project needs to have in order to be considered. This could be required time period to complete the project or a maximum project cost. Determining the must and want objectives are key to selecting a project. One way to select a project is using the project evaluation form. As you can see, a project evaluation form includes the must and want objectives and uses a weighted score to determine the project priority. In this example, Project 1 did not meet all of the must objectives. Projects 2 and 3 did, but Project 2 had a greater weighted score. Therefore, Project 2 was given first priority and selected for the project. Project scope is the definition of the end results mission or purpose for a project. Its purpose is to define the deliverables of a project. The project scope is key to the project's success. A weak project scope may allow the project to steer off path. The scope needs to define the deliverables in tangible, clear, and measurable terms. The project scope should include project objective, deliverables, milestones, technical requirements, limits and inclusions, and reviews with the customer. Project priorities need to be determined in the planning of the project just in case time, performance, or cost need to be sacrificed. In order to showcase the project priorities, a project priority matrix is used. This example of a project priority matrix shows which criterion is a constraint, which should be enhanced, and which should be accepted. A constraint is something that is fixed, such as a completion date. The criteria that can be accepted is one that is tolerable to slip. For instance, this might be going over budget to meet a deadline. The criterion that is to be enhanced is one that can be used to take advantage of opportunities. For instance, adding value to the project or lowering costs. The work breakdown structure, or WBS, is a breakdown of the work elements in a project. It is an outline of the project at different levels of detail. The WBS will be referred back to throughout the project. Here is an example. Each step has a corresponding number and description. The responsibility matrix summarizes the tasks to be completed and who is responsible for each. As you can see in this example, participants are given a designation of R or S. The R indicates who is responsible for completing that task. The S indicates everyone who supports in completing that task, but are not considered to be mainly responsible for it. This responsibility matrix may be referred to throughout all of a project. There may also be adjustments to fit any responsibility or task changes. Finally, the last part of this episode is the communication plan. The communication plan lists who will communicate information, who will be communicated to, how the information will be communicated, and how often it is communicated. Weekly, monthly, or daily meetings should be listed on the communication plan. In this example, you will notice several pieces will just be communicated as needed. The methods of communication include Zoom, Microsoft Teams, text message, and more. Your communication plan will be needed to keep information flowing throughout the project. With that, this is the end of episode 1. This information is collected from the book Project Management, The Managerial Process by Eric Larson and Clifford Gray. Please stay tuned for the next episode.